Okay, great, thanks. Okay, everybody, we're going to call to order the meeting today. Ring the bell. Well, I'm Jeff 2.0 because our president, Jeff McNAUGHTON, is sick, so he called me this morning and said if I could step in for him. But as we do always, before the meeting actually fully starts, I want everyone to get up and meet and greet our guests and other Rotarians and take a few minutes. Okay, everyone. I think we've had some time to meet, and so we're going to get the meeting going. One last thing: if you haven't had a chance to buy a raffle ticket, make sure you get it. See Lee Wagner or see anyone who's selling the raffle tickets today, but that'd be great. And so now I'd like to have the invocation, and John Glancy is going to do the invocation.
Would you all please stand? I guess I'll use this mic I'm used to using the other one, but okay, do what we can. Start off. Anybody have any member concerns that we ought to share with everybody before we pray? Okay, that's good to see. If not, let us pray. Dear God, we ask you to guide and bless our meeting today. Thank you for Rotary and what it stands for ethics, for helping others in our community and around the world, and for good fellowship and fun. As we approach a special day of Thanksgiving, help us remember today and every day all that we have to be thankful for. Be with us as we use our gifts through Rotary and in other ways to bring help to others in need. In this meeting and in all that we do in the coming days, help us to live in accord with our Rotary values, following the four-way test and living a life of service above self. We ask you to bless us as we bring blessings to others. Amen. And now if you would join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the National Anthem. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now, when it starts, we'll sing. What's so proud and wicked that the one lies past me, whose stripes and bright stars through the sky, for the ramparts we rise, so gallantly streaming, and waters rest
Thank you, John. That tempo and that version of the national anthem is going to be the death of all of us, I think. So at this time, we want to have any requests for Happy Bucks. Anybody have a happy time they want to exclaim? And
Yes, Happy Bucks for Representative Brandon Williams, who we supported up in New York, won his congressional race from the 22nd District of New York. He's from Dallas. Don Williams is his father. He's a Navy veteran, submariner, and that was fantastic news, and we supported him. His platform was the Green Real Deal based on our environmental program in our book. So we're real thrilled about that, and let me contribute some bucks here.
excellent, that's great.
Thanks, Gary.
Any more? Oh, there we go. Jen?
Jenny Hammond.
So you might not remember me. My name's Jennifer Hammond. I was a member, for the last few years. But for the last 8 weeks, I had to disappear because I opened a home daycare, and the person that I'd hired to cover me for this time period, on the Monday that I did, didn't decide to go with me. And so I've been at home taking care of infants for the last 8 weeks. Obviously, I'm here doing Happy Bucks because I have a new assistant who's at the house now. So thank you so much for having me back.
Thanks, Jen.
Thank you, Jim. Barb?
Barb's got one.
Yep.
Well, I am happy today because we have 6 of our 7 new members who are going to stay after the meeting with Paul and Karen and I and do their new member orientation. And we're excited to have them in the club and look forward to spending the next few minutes with them after the meeting.
Wonderful. Happy.
Any others?
Happy for Happy Bucks.
I will mail a check. I'm out of cash right now. You know where to find me. So I'm really happy I have a new electric car.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Visitors?
Thanks. At this time, I'd like to introduce our guest. Richard, I think, are going to be handling that. Oh, Scott. Okay, Scott. Guest. Any introduction of guest? Any guest today?
Yes, well, I'll introduce our speaker here in a few minutes. This is Leslie Rose. She's going to be our speaker today, but I want to also introduce the people she brought. So we have, actually one of them just stepped out, Elizabeth Maupin and Jeanette Appleby. And who's the little guy under the table? Rudder. So we have a dog in training that you'll get to meet during our presentation who's under the table right now. So anyway, welcome our guests.
Thank you, Holly.
Thank you. I would like to introduce Kelly Pope, who works at SMU, and she's coming to the club and already submitted her application to be a member. Happy to be here, and who also happens to be my wife.
I figured y'all were related. Anybody else?
I'd like to call on past President Happy Franklin to introduce a returning member.
I'm really happy to reintroduce CHARITO Moore as a new member for our club. She is a banker at Regions Bank, and she looks forward to getting reacquainted with all of us. We are giving you your temporary permanent badge. So as soon as your new one comes in, your new permanent badge, we'll be sure to get that to you. Anyways, welcome. Let's get a great photograph.
Well, thank you, everyone. It was nice to be back and seeing old folks and new folks. And thank you again.
And now I want to call on Tanya to speak to tree lighting this coming weekend.
Okay, I'm the substitute Tanya. So Tanya is trying to scramble in the 11th hour and get another sponsor because one just backed out. But anyway, I'm here talking about this Sunday. Can you believe it's already tree lighting this Sunday? And some of you haven't signed up to volunteer yet, and so that's what I'm here begging for more volunteers. This time for Tanya's tree lighting at Schneider Plaza. We all have to come out and support her. This is one of our major projects every year. It's from 1 to 6 this Sunday. There's 2 different shifts. You can do the early shift and be done early, or you can come and do the late shift. I'm going to be serving beer on the late shift, so come on by and have some beer. Okay.
Thanks, Holly. I would highly recommend doing this. That's always I think it's one of my favorite events of the year. I've signed up. I'm doing the puppy dog, the pet adoption, which is always fun. But what time's the Cowboy game? 3:25. So take that into consideration when you volunteer. Okay. J.R. Priestman, come talk about Scottish Rite popcorn.
Okay, so hopefully you guys have seen the email. I think about 20 people are registered so far, but Scottish Rite popcorn packing is back. I believe we have not done that since 2019. So please sign up. The thing I want to call to your attention is in the past, they have provided dinner, and this year that is not the case. So eat before you come so that you don't eat all the popcorn that we're supposed to be packing for charity. So 5:30, December 1st. Hopefully you've seen the emails. Sign up on the club homepage. Questions?
Yes, I have to know. Anybody that has not done the popcorn packing, we compete with each other because we have tables and we compete in how much we can actually pack in. So
Okay.
don't want to miss it.
Okay, I didn't know that. Okay. Yeah, don't miss it.
Thanks, JR. That is a fun event. I've only done it a few times, but I will be signing up. JR, how many slots do we have for that? Hey, JR, how many slots do we have for the packing?
Only a couple left.
Oh,
I thought we were at 18 or 19.
I guess it's full, but I'm going to try. Okay, so right now, Dentistry with a Heart, it's coming this Saturday. So clearly on the 19th, people who are going to be volunteering for that or help, do we need more for Dentistry with a Heart? Any more volunteers necessary? You are? Okay. Thanks, Fred. The annual club meeting at the Salvation Army Chili Day is coming on December 2nd. And so just get prepared for that. So that's always a great event. And then another upcoming event, the Salvation Army Distribution Center. You can sign up for that also. That's December 3rd. That's from 1 to 3:30. So it'll be a quick 2.5 hours, but that's always a fun event, as I've been told. Then finally, you saw the notice went out the other day from Happy, past President Happy, to the holiday party and also C.C. Colley celebration of his 100th birthday. So that's on the 15th of December, so be sure to sign up for that. It's at Lakewood Country Club, and I think it's $52 per person, full meal, everything.
Can you repeat that? The program says it's the 16th, but it is actually the 15th.
Yeah, the 15th. Yeah, it's December 15th at Lake. It's on Thursday night. It is. I think it starts at 6 p.m. 6 to 9. So that's always a fun event too, just our holiday party, and also in the celebration of CC. So now we will do the drawing for President Jeff McNaughton's raffle program we have. Oh, the Marketplace. Did I miss it? I guess I missed it. So Marketplace, we're going to have Eric Harrison on for this.
It's okay. You can forget me. But let's not forget how important our marketplace advertisers are. And today, Ryan Botzong is our sponsor. And Ryan works for 49 Financial as a financial planner. 49 Financial is an independent financial services company. And Ryan primarily helps families with retirement planning, estate planning, and tax planning. Ryan loves the opportunity to sit with business owners, professionals, and families to discuss their specific goals and priorities to build a relationship with them over time. So thank you to Ryan for being our marketplace advertiser for today.
Thank you, Ryan. And now we will do the raffle drawing. So we always have our speaker guests come and pull out the ticket. So Elizabeth or Leslie? And as I understand from past President Lee, that the total amount is $222 at this point. So, thank you. The number, the last, if I can read this, 601, or the last, if I can read that. Do you see 601? I can't read. 601 is the winning ticket. Must be present to win. Oh, hold on. No, it's not me.
No, it's
nope,
close.
Someone's out there who's got the ticket. Must be present to win.
Five, 6, 4.
No, this is Lee. This is all this week's. Interesting. Technical difficulties. This is fun.
507.
Woohoo! Thank you. And as you know how this works is that gives you the opportunity to pull a card from the deck, and if it's the ace of spades, then you then win half the pot. That's your consolation prize. And as you know, we removed that card from the deck, so your odds keep getting better, as Tom always tells us every week. So thank you. And then half the pot goes to the winner, and then half pot goes to the RCPC Foundation Fund. Thank you very much. So now we'll have time. Holly Hollenbeck will introduce our chair of the day. Here's our chair of the day and our speakers. I know.
Did I leave my paper up here? Yes. All right. Leslie just sat back down, and I'm going to bring her back up here. So I am just thrilled to bring this presentation to you today because these people do amazing work. We have Leslie Rose, who is a Dynamo volunteer for Patriot Paws and an ambassador, and Elizabeth, who is our trainer. Raise your hand. Elizabeth, who is a puppy trainer. And we also have Jeanette here today. Raise your hand. And she is a puppy raiser. So the three of them are here today to tell you about this amazing organization called Patriot Paws Service Dogs, whose mission is to train and provide service dogs of the highest quality to disabled American veterans and others with mobile disabilities in order to restore their physical and emotional independence. The mission of Patriot Paws Service Dogs is to train and provide service dog. Oh, I already read that. Apparently it's in this twice. So they needed to fill the space, I guess. All right, so with no further ado, I'm going to let Leslie take over because she has some amazing stories you're going to love to hear. And then the star of this speaking presentation will then come on, and he is a puppy in training, but he's going to be exciting to see. So first, Leslie.
I'm so happy to be here today to tell you about one of my two passions. My first passion is quilting, and my second is Patriot Paws. And I got involved with Patriot Paws because of my quilting. My group meets in a church in Garland, and the former priest was the chaplain for Patriot Paws, and we all got involved. And it's just one of the most wonderful organizations if you love animals, if you love this country, if you love veterans. Every day, 22 veterans commit suicide. Think about that. These people have gone overseas to keep our country great and to protect us, and they come back damaged. Almost 100% of all veterans have some level of PTSD. I've talked to veterans who can't get out of a closet. They live in a closet. They can't talk to people. They're scared. They're hurt. They're wounded. And then they come get one of these dogs, and their life changes. These dogs are so amazing. What they can do is just beyond belief. They can do things that husbands and teenagers can't do, like put laundry in a washing machine, open the icebox door and get a bottle of water out and then close the door. But to tell you about Patriot Paws, how it was started, in 2006, our CEO and founder, Lori Stevens, was at the VA with her son, and she noticed veterans who were trying to train their own dogs. And Lori was a dog trainer, and she thought, I can do better than that. And she started Patriot Paws with 4 volunteers. In the beginning, they had more dogs than they had veterans to give them to. And then shortly thereafter, Brian Williams with NBC did a program of women who make a difference, and the phone started ringing. And today, sometimes we get 400 requests a month for a dog, a service dog. The need is so great. It takes about $35,000 to raise one dog. And we get no government funding. It's all by donations from people like you, from service organizations, foundations, corporations. And amazingly enough, the average check is for $25. One of the things I do as a volunteer is I write thank you notes. And it's just so wonderful to see the notes that come in with these checks sometimes. The dogs start out at Patriot Paws, and they are trained starting at 6 to 8 weeks when they come in, although now we are raising our own in-house dogs. And so they start being trained at about 4 days. They hold them up, they turn them down, they mess with their toes. And these dogs are trained by the trainers at Patriot Paws, and then they go on to DFW puppy raisers for 3 months or so. And these are people who take the dog into their home and give them a home environment. They go with them everywhere they go. Then they go to the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. We have 2 women prison programs and 1 male prison program. And they are trained there 24 hours a day to keep up with their cues that they learn and their behavior and just being good dogs. And the amazing thing about going into the criminal justice system is, first of all, it saves Patriot Paws a lot of money. And secondly, the recidivism rate for most criminals is almost 50%. The puppy trainers, it's less than 1%. So this is a win-win. And these inmates go on to do jobs sometimes in the dog industries. So it gives them a sense of purpose. They learn to work with other people and take instruction. And maybe for the first time in their life, they get unconditional love. Then they go to Texas A&M. And it started out with 1 puppy raiser, and now we have close to 200. They go down there and they get the college experience. They go to class, they go to movies, they go to parties. I hope they don't go to keg parties, but it's anything like when I went to college. And they just learn everything they need to do to live in society and be good dogs, and they are. This little puppy that's going to be here today is going to show you some of the things he's just learning. It takes about 1.5 to 2.5 years for a dog to be completely trained. When the veterans come to get their dog, we usually have twice the amount of dogs that we have veterans that are going to graduate, so that they'll have a good supply of dogs to choose from. But they don't choose the dog. The dog chooses them. And the trainers all sit and watch the dogs interact with the veterans. And then on the Friday, they announce who the dog has picked. And then they spend the next week fine-tuning the dog and the veteran for whatever the veteran needs. If he's mobility issues in a wheelchair, or PTSD, or whatever, prosthetics. And then they graduate, and if you want to see something that's really emotional, go to Facebook, Patriot Paws Service Dogs, and look at the graduations or the matching day. It's absolutely incredible. Just a couple of stories about veterans. There's a young man who I met recently in my ambassador class, and when he came back from his tour of duty, he lived at home with his mother, and he couldn't go out anywhere without his mom going with him. And then he got Maverick, and now he goes everywhere, and he's an ambassador, and he can get up in front of a group that he's never met before and do what I'm doing. Just changed his life. There was a lady named Freedom, and she came back. She was a medic, and she came back from her tours of duty and couldn't function. She couldn't leave the house without her husband or her mother going with her. She was just paralyzed. And she ended up getting a dog named Gus, and she went back to school. She went to England to get her master's degree, and the dog goes with her and wears protective gear when they're in the laboratory, and it's changed her life. She can do everything too. So these dogs are just absolutely life-changing, and if you think for 1 minute that these people don't need this, I ask you to come out and meet some of them. Meet some of the veterans and hear their stories. You're always welcome at Patriot Paws. Thank you. And now we're going to have Elizabeth and Jeanette and Rudder. And remember, he's just a baby learning and training, but you'll be surprised what he can do.
Hey guys, so yeah, my name is Elizabeth. I am a trainer at Patriot Paws. And this is Jeanette, who is one of my volunteer puppy raisers in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And then she is currently working with Rudder. He is a Labrador, a black lab, and he is 4 months old. So he has been with us his entire life at Patriot Paws. And obviously he is not quite ready to go with his veteran. So we're going to tell you guys some of the things that he's working on now and what that will eventually turn into during the process of him finding his veteran. It does take Patriot Paws about 2 to 2.5 years before we deem our dogs ready to find their veteran. Just like Miss Leslie said, we do work with veterans with mobile disabilities. And we need our dogs to be as precise as possible to help with all of the things that might potentially occur in a veteran's life. So the very first thing that we teach our dogs is the clicker. So Miss Jeanette has this little thing in her hand that makes a noise, and this tells Rudder he did exactly what she wanted him to do. So right now, as a puppy, it's just existing in an exciting environment with lots of lovely friends and lots of delicious food smell. So as long as he's being nice and calm, he is getting, okay, I call them cookies. They're not really cookies. They're his kibble. So he gets his kibble throughout the day from Miss Jeanette's pouch. Okay? So this helps with the dog's training. It's a training method called positive reinforcement. You may have done that with your personal pet dogs. It's a great way to keep the dogs excited about life. Rudder has no idea that he is working a moment in his life. He thinks that we are just having big fun together and this is the strangest way to eat food, but it's fun, so I might as well keep playing these games with my handler. So our puppies first, after they know that the clicker means that they did the right thing and they are going to get some food out of it, they learn to put their eyes on their handler. And that might kind of seem like a weird thing to have to teach a dog, but dogs naturally do not like to look at each other in the eyes. We do as humans, we're taught it's polite to shake hands and look at somebody in the eye, but that's not polite in the dog world. So the importance of this is our dogs obviously need to be paying attention to their trainer or their handler or their volunteer puppy raiser, but eventually they're going to go with a veteran. And we need our dogs to be checking in with their veteran. Hey, you good? Okay, you didn't need me that second. That's cool. We're still walking together. We're still shopping in the Target. Do you need me? No, you're still good. Okay, oh, that's the moment that you cued me to do something. So they're constantly checking in with their handler. So anytime that Rudder puts his eyes on Jeanette, she's going to use her little clicker to tell him, yeah, that's exactly what I wanted. You're such a good boy, and then here's your piece of kibble. This is a great way for our dogs and their handlers to bond together. After our doggies understand, oh, it's important to put my eyes on my handler, we start doing basic obedience, much like you would with a pet dog. The most important thing that we teach our dogs is walking nicely on their leash next to their person. Because again, our veterans have some sort of a mobile disability. Some of them might be in a wheelchair, have a walker, have some kind of adaptive equipment, and we want them to be nice and polite next to their person. We also teach them to sit and lay down. Rudder's doing a nice down right now, and he is remaining in that position for his kibble. And so that's a way to make sure that our dogs are nice and polite in public. So over here, Rudder's been kind of hiding underneath the table. We tuck him under there so that he's not in the way of the general public. It's very important for service dogs to remain unobtrusive in public. And so that's one of the ways that we teach our dogs to just help out everybody else. We also teach our dogs this cue called touch. And so Rudder's going to show us what that looks like. Basically what this is he puts his nose on Miss Jeanette's hand. And I know he's kind of a little guy, and he's over there, but he'll do it a couple times to show you. So it's called touch. That means he is putting his nose on our hand. This is a great way to move the dogs around when we need them to get out of the way. Because again, we want them to be unobtrusive in public, and so if we are in the middle of the grocery store, and you're coming toward us with your cart, we don't want to disturb the general public. We don't want to disturb you in your shopping trip, so we can just easily move Rudder over to the side. Eventually, what this also can turn into is a cue called push. So I don't know how often you guys look at stores that you go into, but a lot of stores now have the automatic doors, but there still are some that have the handicap push plates. A lot of the department stores still have these, like Kohl's and JCPenney's, and a lot of libraries still have these. And I don't know if you guys have ever looked for them, but they're kind of hard to find sometimes. I don't know why, but for some reason, a lot of times these push plates are up high and they're kind of tucked out of the way. I went to a library once, not only was it high, out of the way, but it was recessed into the wall. Okay, well, if I'm a veteran in a wheelchair, I've got to get myself all the way over to the door, push that button, and wheel myself all the way back, get lined up, and start through that door before that door starts to close. That's not going to happen. It's quite a process to get through those doors sometimes before they start closing again. And so eventually, Mr. Rudder will learn how to, we get to see if he'll play around with it. We just make everything fun, and so he's probably not going to be perfect at this, but we just make everything fun. And so we'll just get excited if he even, good boy, acts like he's interested in it. That's all we want from a puppy. Just act interested in this item. Don't be scared of this item. And then eventually he'll get better and better and be able to hit the button. Yeah, good boy. Exactly. Thank you, Miss Leslie. Exactly where we need him to push it. Okay. So now if you're a veteran and you're in your wheelchair and you're trying to get into that public library, you can send your dog to push that button while you remain at that door, and you're ready to start moving through when it opens, and then your dog will return right to you and you can go about your day so much easier and so much faster. At Patriot Paws, one of the things that I really like about our campus in Rockwall is not only do we have a kennel area where the dogs can sleep and take naps and things, because I don't know about you guys, but I wish I could take a nap throughout the day when I'm working. Well, our dogs actually get to take naps. They don't have to be on all the time. They get to just be a puppy. So they have an area where they can take naps, as well as a couple of play yards that we have where they can play with our lovely kennel staff and their fellow puppy friends. We even have a yard that has a pond so they can be a full lab and splash and play in the water. And that's really cute to get to see the dogs just be dogs sometimes. So while they're playing in our play yards, I like to call it kind of like purposeful play. So again, they don't really know that they're working, but we take every opportunity that we can to play with our dogs. And so We love to use the natural retrieving breeds because it's just a lot easier. Yeah, he says, oh, I love it. I love these things. So see, you can already tell he is excited to do these activities. So sometimes we have funny little objects like this little plastic dumbbell, and we get excited about the dogs being excited about the item. So Miss Jeanette's just going to, yeah, good boy, be excited when Rudder puts his mouth on this object. And so this is the beginning of teaching our dogs to retrieve items when their person asks them to. So it's very meticulous process, but we need our dogs to be accurate because, again, it's taken us about 2 years to train these dogs, and this is one of the reasons. So not only can our dogs pick up this item, he can pick up any kind of fabric to help his veteran around the house, maybe doing the laundry and picking up their socks. They can pick up little wallet-type items, car keys, even all the way down to credit cards and coins. Okay, so Rudder is still practicing just with the dumbbell and different toys. So again, we're just making it nice and fun for him. I had the honor of going to see one of our veteran teams last month to do a recertification. So we annually see our veterans at least once a year, but once a year they are recertifying as a team. And Mr. Mike went to Walmart to pick up some prescriptions that he needed. And I was being respectful. I was stepping away, but he and his dog were handling the transaction. And Mr. Mike dropped his credit card. Mike is in a wheelchair and is unable to just bend over and pick up that credit card. But have no fear, Peyton is here, and he was able to send his dog to get the credit card, get it off of the floor, put it right in Mike's lap where he could grab it and resume the transaction. So that just really helps give Mr. Mike so much more freedom in his life, because then he doesn't have to stop and ask some random stranger to pick up his credit card for him, or pause the day of the pharmacy staff because somebody from the back has to come out and grab it for him and help him. So now he has a little friend that helps him. Yeah, Mr. Rudder also loves the game of tug. So again, we play with our puppies and we just make this nice and fun. And so we have a variety of different tugs that we use with our puppies. So this one's just a fun one that he plays with in Jeanette's hand. Eventually what will happen is he'll get to be so strong with this tug that she will be able to sit on a chair, ask Rudder to take a hold of the little rope thing, and he will be able to help pull her out of that chair. So it offers the dogs the ability to help their person if they are in a wheelchair and needing to go from wheelchair to bed, or if they're sitting in their walker and they need a little bit of help standing back up. So our doggies can help them with that. We also can put the tug ropes on anything that has a door. So a refrigerator, a door in and out of your house, and the dogs can pull those doors open for their person, especially if there aren't any handicap buttons around. Like Ms. Leslie was saying, so once Rudder knows how to pick up the socks, he knows how to put them in the basket, and then he can tug the basket down the hall and help with that laundry. So this tug is a very, very important one as well. And you can see that Mr. Rudder, even at 4 months, already, is excited about this activity, right? And he already has a nice, strong mouth grip and tug strength on that rope. And that's just going to be very, very important for him to continue to love this game as he grows up. Good job, Betty. So again, we just start our puppies on very basic things, and eventually our dogs know how to, he's pretty cute, right? And I see lots of smiles and happy faces. Eventually we will teach Mr. Rudder how to politely put himself across his veteran's lap and provide a little bit of comfort and ability to just pet the dog and just get that soothing aspect of petting a dog. So if you guys have any kind of pet at home and you have a stressful day and you go home and you pet your animal, that releases all of those happy, good feeling hormones throughout the body. And so this is a nice way that our dogs help our veterans that have some PTS, is providing them with some comfort. That's a good boy. Mr. Rudder can also tell Miss Jeanette, he said, I want to keep doing that one. He is also going to show you his work on his cue called Paw, so Paw, P-A-W. He is learning this one as well, and so the idea here, good boy, is he is putting his foot on Jeanette's foot. So like the touch where he puts his nose on her hand, now paw means you are putting your foot on my foot. Okay? So what does this mean? It is the way that we teach our dogs to tell their person that they have to go to the potty. Right now, he doesn't know that's what that means. He's just a puppy. He just knows that Miss Jeanette gets excited when he puts his foot on her foot when she taps it on the floor. And he gets a cookie, so he's going to keep doing that. How we pair that together is we ask them to do this activity before we take them to go potty. And our dogs are nice and smart because we're using this positive reinforcement. And that encourages them to use their brains and learn to tell us when they have to go potty. One of the cool things that some of our dogs have picked up on their own about this is we do not teach our dogs to be any like protection type dogs. That's a question we get a lot. We do not teach that because, again, our dogs need to be polite when they are in public. So if we had a dog here at this restaurant and the dog started barking at some of our friends here, you guys could ask us to leave. That is your right as the general public. So we teach our dogs to be cool, calm, and collected and stay kind of chill no matter the situation. But what our dogs have learned is they can feel when their person gets tense and anxious. They feel that through that leash. So anything that you're feeling, your dog is going to feel that as well. And so our dogs have become problem solvers, and they will realize, hey, my person is feeling a little bit nervous. They're a little bit scared or unsure of this situation. How can I, as the dog, get my person out of this situation? Oh, yeah, I know that I can tell my person that I need to go potty, and they're going to take me outside. So a lot of times if we have, like Mr. Brian has an old enough dog that does not need to go potty every few minutes, whereas like maybe Rudder needs to go pretty often. Our adult dogs really don't need to go potty that often, but if Maverick Paws Mr. Brian, that's an easy way for Mr. Brian to say, oh, excuse me, Maverick needs to go outside, and he gets outside where he can take a breath and calm back down, do all of his breathing exercises and things that he needs to do in order to go back inside instead of just shutting down and not being able to handle life like we might be able to. So that's a pretty cool thing that our dogs learn, not only to actually tell us when they need to go pee, but to kind of do some problem solving. Another way that positive reinforcement is really powerful with our dogs and their problem solving is once Mr. Rudder knows how to pick up the wallet and the car keys and all of those things, he's not going to care whatever he puts in his mouth. And one of the things we teach our dogs to put in their mouth is a phone. So we tell our veterans, get like a pay-as-you-go type phone or a little handheld phone that you would set on a dock at your house, and it's in the same spot every day. And we teach our dogs a cue that's called get phone. And so when we tell the dog to go get the phone, they run and they bring it to their person. And so we have a veteran that our dogs, they bond with their handlers, and they know when things look normal and when things don't look normal. And so this gentleman was having a stroke, and his dog thought, well, my person looks a little bit weird. We're not playing our normal games. I think Daddy is upset. How do I make Daddy happy? Well, sometimes he likes it when I bring him the phone. So our dog ran and grabbed the phone and brought it to the veteran's right hand, where he normally does, and it fell on the floor. So if we were to smack Rudder around and be mean to him to get him to do the things that we want him to do, and Rudder were to bring that phone to that veteran, well, Dad didn't smack me around, so life must be okay. But our dogs know that's not what this game normally looks like. I didn't hear that magical yes and get my cookie. I need to do something different. So that dog used their problem-solving skills, put that phone in the left hand, and our veteran was able to grip that phone on the left side that was not being affected by the stroke and able to call for help. So our dogs, it's kind of cool. I tell my puppy raisers, what do you have in your toolbox that you can help get this dog to be successful? So sometimes our dogs dig into their own toolbox. What do I have as the service dog that I know to do to dig into my toolbox to help my person? So at Patriot Paws, we are teaching the dogs about 65 different cues, but a lot of times those dogs and those veterans just take that above and beyond. And it's a really cool thing to experience and just see how much these dogs can change the lives of their people and help them just do things that we sometimes take for granted. Even the smallest things of going shopping for your own items in your store, going to your grandkids' or children's sporting events. Now they have a little battle buddy by their side to help them through their day. So thank you guys for having us here. Do we have time to ask, because I've seen a couple of things. Okay, right here, I saw your hand first. Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
And the other thing is the time. Oh, thank you. And a time limit for someone to have an animal, to have a dog. What is it?
Yeah, so at Patriot Paws, we rotate our dogs between the Rockwell campus, our Dallas-Fort Worth volunteer raisers, our student raisers, and then those 3 prison units that we have. Those are all of our different areas. We rotate them about every 3 to 4 months. So the reason for that is, one, we are using prisons, and their dogs are not, when they're with their prisoners, they're not getting out in public. They're not going to Target every day. They're not going to restaurants or anything like that. So we want to make sure that those dogs don't stay in prison too long to where they don't get to experience life. We also don't want the dogs to get too terribly bonded to their handler, because even though I was Rutter's first mom, now Jeanette is his mom. And so he needs to know that, yeah, Elizabeth is cool and sometimes she has food, but right now Miss Jeanette is the coolest because she is the one that, I know it's hard for me to say, but because she is the one with the food. And that's just going to help them with our veteran graduation process, where our veterans come in and they work every single dog that's available, and we are seeing which matches are going to be the best and which veteran the dogs are picking. So the dogs are just accustomed to, oh, okay, now I'm working with Bob, cool. Okay, now I'm working with Jane, okay, cool. Once they are with their veteran, the dogs stay with their veteran until the time that the veteran decides that the dog needs to retire. We have some veterans that make that decision that something's going on. You know, their dog is getting up there in age. The great thing about using the labs is we hope that they have about 10 years, potentially sometimes more, sometimes less, with their veteran. And so some of our veterans, you know, they've realized that their dog is maybe having some trouble getting around with their mobility. Sometimes they get ill, things like that. And so a lot of times our veterans will decide to retire the dog early. And some, unfortunately, they're not expecting the dog to pass when they do. Once the veterans are in the Patriot Paws family, that's as soon as they submit that application, they are part of the Patriot Paws family. We're constantly checking in with them, calling them, writing them letters. Hey, we haven't forgotten about you. We have a lot of fun school kids that will draw pictures and create cards that we'll send to veterans on our wait list, as well as the veterans that currently have our dogs. So if their dog does pass away, they go back on our wait list. We do ask that they have a little bit of a grieving period, but we let our veterans kind of tell us how long that grieving period needs to be. If they're ready, you know, after 6 months or 8 months, then okay, we're going to do our best to to get you into another graduation group. Usually it's about a year of a grieving process, but some of our veterans are in such different levels of need that sometimes they need to get back on our list sooner.
Elizabeth, Jack
Yes,
gets
sir.
the last question.
Thank you. In Boy Scouts, I've had leader dog, guide dogs come and speak to our scouts. Very impressive. We remember the 11-month-old golden retriever, Will, who came and talked to us. My question is about protection. So if the owner was being attacked, how do you train the dog to protect him? Because I know in my wife's case, she has a small dog named Daisy, and she's a rat terrier. She's known me for 12 years. So we've had her since she was born. Every time I come home, she still barks at me because she's still very protective of Patty, my wife, which is endearing. So I wonder, how do you train these dogs to protect their owners?
Yeah, so again, we want to make sure that our dogs are polite citizens when they are out in public. So there are organizations that do teach some protective style of cues, and we do not teach our dogs to bark on cue or anything like that. But we do teach our dogs how to move around their veteran. Typically, those cues are used to be unobtrusive to the public, such as, oh, a cart is coming, you better get on this side of me. So a lot of times if there's a true situation and the veteran is not realizing that the dog is pawing them to try and get them out of that dangerous situation, then our dogs will try other methods of getting their person out of that situation versus going and doing anything toward the person that's trying to be a little bit naughty. But we also tell our veterans, hey, you know, this is a dog that has been trained to be a good citizen, and so this is your teammate, but you need to be a teammate back to your dog as well. So don't put them in situations where you expect there to be some trouble. And so you know you're going to, you know, even a family event where you might get in a fisticuffs with somebody, maybe we just avoid that situation because they need to know how to protect their battle buddy as well. So yeah, while we're not teaching the dogs any actual protection cues, the dogs figure out how to just get their person out of that situation.
Elizabeth, thank you very, very much for your presentation. We will be placing in McShane Elementary a book in honor of y'all's presentation today for doing this, and we truly appreciate it. I do have a question, though. Yes. You know, we see puppy dogs. I know most people here, you fall in love with them. So you're doing God's work, because to have to pass on these dogs, and you have numerous steps in the process, that's got to be very difficult, I would think.
Yeah, so I'm very much a science nerd, and so I went to college thinking I was going to do field research, and I fell in love with elephants. So I equate myself to an elephant. So in the elephant world, the moms of all of the babies, they're all everybody's little auntie. So all the moms have babies, but everybody is the auntie. And all of the moms in the herd protect the little babies. And so I feel connected to my puppy raisers in Dallas-Fort Worth because I'm seeing them at least once a week. But I also feel connected to the A&M students that I don't see that often. And I feel connected to our prisoners. And I feel like we're all little elephants. And we are the cool aunties of Rudder. And each time he goes to a different raiser and handler, we are just adding a piece to his puzzle, and he's just adding into his little elephant herd. And eventually, all of us together will feel a sense of pride that we have all had a piece of Rudder in our heart, and hopefully we are part of his heart as well. And we just hopefully feel a sense of pride seeing him go to his final person. And I recently have included Miss Leslie in my elephant herd because we have been a piece of a dog story. And so that's kind of cool to get that connection as a trainer of Patriot Paws, of being connected to our volunteers as just a big group together.
Thank you, Elizabeth. You want to get a picture? That's good. Thank you very much. So a couple more announcements real quick. Next Friday will be no meeting, clearly because of the Thanksgiving holidays. And then the next meeting will be on December 2nd, and that'll be the Salvation Army Chili Day annual event.
I have a very important announcement. The Santa hats, which you all are going to need on Sunday, have been marked down. $10 a piece, according to Club Secretary Moore. Was 20, now 10.
Thank you, Tom. Yeah, go get your hats because, again, we'll want to be representing the club definitely at the tree lighting event. And now the four-way test. Charito Moore.
Okay, the four-way test of the things we say or do. First, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? And fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned?